left Christianity, I educated myself in a lot of things that were carefully kept from me when I was in religion. And another reason why I love atheism is for number 35. It's rumored that approximately 25% of girls and women are abused in religion. Personally, I think it's half because a lot of people are not reporting it. And I always say that one is one too many. Okay? If anybody protects, creates, and upholds a toxic culture that protects and initiates abuse, you have a problem. Isn't it interesting how most churches only apologize and act after years of knowing about abuse, but they never act on it before a lawsuit, criminal charges, or the media gets involved? You ever notice that? Very few churches actually step up and stop abuse before it becomes public. And this is a problem. All of Christianity is setting up a toxic dynamic, so unhealthy, that women are entirely vulnerable. And just because God says something doesn't mean that person exists. Just because somebody says, I heard a word from God, doesn't mean that person is not crazy or that the person who spoke to them exists. So, I think it's dangerous for people to look at religion and think that just because somebody is straight, heterosexual, cis, and that they're married, does not mean they are a good man. Does not mean they're a good woman. They should know better. They probably don't. And if it's a crime, they do know better. But when it all comes down to it, religion creates an environment where women are always blamed for something they cannot control. They're not responsible for anyone's behavior. They're not responsible for how men react to something completely normal, like a woman existing. Girls, they're taught to obey authority and never question authority. What happens if their abuser is a member of authority, like a parent, a relative, a leader? They have no tools to tell the difference between obeying a leader and protecting their own autonomy. And this is what's so bad about religion. Whenever somebody wants power, what tool do they usually pull out of their arsenal? Religion. Or racism. And religion is the number one reason why the LGBTQIA community is persecuted in the world. Because of Judeo-Christian values. And let's get this straight. There is no morality, there is no values in religion. It's a power vacuum. That doesn't mean that there aren't churches out there that don't take advantage of people or actually care about people. But their religion isn't what makes them good people. I mean, they've defied the odds because most religions are not going out of their way to help people. And if you've been reading lately, there was this woman, I don't know what nationality or age she was, but I'm assuming middle age, called around different churches, different religious institutions to see who would be open to helping a woman with a child due to the SNAP issue going on right now. Which churches would help her? Well, it turned out the only people that would help her were 95% non-Christian. And all the other Christian churches that wouldn't help, it was because she wasn't a member. Interesting how 95% of Christians that she called, you have to be the right type of denomination in Christianity or be a member in order to qualify for help. Imagine people having a health problem and someone won't perform CPR until they're 100% sure the person is a member of their church. Or EMT showing up, where they would only come if you believed the same way they did. Why does helping people only happen when somebody's a member? Because if you're not giving into the church, they're not going to help you. You have to be giving them money for them to care. And if that's not despicable, I don't know what is. And children, babies, mothers, they're being abused, neglected, targeted. I mean, we don't target witches anymore. We target single mothers. We target trans people and anyone that isn't the toxic alpha masculine trope. We target women who choose not to be married or get into some trouble due to being pregnant, even though I don't even like referring to pregnancy as being in trouble. But that's the way it is. And the sad thing about all of this is vulnerable people will always be much more vulnerable in religion than in secular areas. Because religion adds an additional layer to deception, gaslighting, emotional priming. I mean, religion is powerful. Religion caused a group of people to put bags over their heads and wear Nike tennis shoes. Another group of people, half the people committed suicide, the other half were forced to. We call it Jonestown. Religion is a cultural pipeline. Why do you think that most of the leading politicians in American history, especially presidents, were religious? Because 1/3 of America is religious. If you give off the image of being a homebody, a father, you have an image of respectability. The problem is, when people say they're religious, I already don't trust you. Because I've been burned every single time I've been around religious people. I mean, let's be honest. The only time religious people respond to my YouTube videos or YouTube comments is when they're trying to correct me or save my soul. It's never about because they have empathy or compassion. Not one Christian has ever responded on my YouTube channel with something that wasn't criticizing me, gaslighting me, making everything my fault. It's interesting how atheists are the most friendly every single time. So, I don't want to be a part of a culture that blames women for everything. The fall, sin, not being at home is ending the world. My own mother, 70 years old, thinks that America started going down the tubes or in the toilet when women didn't go back home after World War II. Women who at that time didn't even have 25% of politicians making laws were the ones that were corrupting America. Men have always been in charge, at least from as far back as we can know. If something's going wrong, the people in charge are the problem. And men have been in charge longer than the history we can confirm has existed. If the government, if the world is turning worse, it's because of the people who set the precedents. Personally, the best, most peaceful times in history, I would say 3 out of 4 times were when women were in charge. Margaret Thatcher and Victoria, Elizabeth, both of them. When women are in charge, the statistics of war, pestilence, and just a low view of women plummet. Women are treated better when women are in charge. And when racism and hate crimes increase, it seems to always be when a racist is president, which is why since Trump has been president, all these bad things seem to happen. Women should be safe in any environment. And if a religion takes away women's autonomy and agency, I think we've found why the world is a bad place. And the world is not a bad place because women don't make supper or stay home and clean the floors. Cleaning your floors doesn't make society a better place. It makes it a more hygienic place, but it does not make a safer place. What does make society safe is when half of the people in charge are women or people who aren't white, cis, heterosexual, bigoted men. And I'm not saying that all white people are bigots. I'm saying that the majority of white people in charge in America uphold why women and marginalized groups are seen as less than. It's not women running the world. The world is falling apart because of how little we think of women as equals. And that's not going to change until we elect and keep electing people who are as different from Trump as humanly possible. I mean, Kamala Harris was more qualified than anyone else. She's not a racist. She's not a rapist. She's nothing like Trump. But America is so sexist and dehumanizes people that aren't Trump that they would want him anyways. Hopefully, by the time I retire and leave the workforce in 40 years, 35 years now, that we'll actually have had at least 2 female presidents. I hope we start electing people who are minorities and the marginalized, trans and gay, and the most qualified people, I hope someday, will start being people who are not the kind of people we keep electing. We need to start electing people like the new mayor of New York City. People who care about the working class and won't silence the working class or up their health insurance coverage. We need different kinds of people. But we're doomed as long as we keep being a part and supporting these racist, sexist, and homophobic environments. And women will continue being abused because that's just what happens when you worship the man.